Hey everybody, thank you for joining us on the FareCompare weekly video podcast. My name is Rick Cini. We're heading into episode number 20 today. Thank you for watching. We got some interesting topics to talk about and at least a couple user questions, which is a favorite part of the video podcast. We're going to talk a little bit about airlines with Wi-Fi and also the Wall Street Journal putting out their version of the best airline list. And joining me today is our editor from the site at FareCompare.com, Ann McDermott. Hey, Ann.
Hey, Rick. You're going to like these customer questions because one's about Europe and the other could be about Europe, actually, but it's also about another of your favorite topics, which is
it's
golf.
Funny. This morning I was doing radio shows and one of the producers was talking about Europe and said, hey, can I ask you a personal question? So clearly the price of oil has people thinking about it.
I'll tell you another reason they should think about Europe. I just posted a deal on our deals blog on our website, Paris for $149 one way. Now, some people will immediately say, wait a minute, how much is it round trip? Well, I'll tell you what it is round trip. It's $149 the other way too. So
yeah, so for those mathematicians, that would be $298.
Yes.
So we'll and by the way, you don't have to check my math. I've been helping my daughter with her algebra homework all week, so I'm good on the calculations front today. But let's talk a little bit about this route happy notation about airlines with Wi-Fi. You know, I find myself, when Wi-Fi first came out, I was connecting all the time when I was on planes. I sort of use it sometimes now, sometimes I don't. But certainly the U.S. carriers, it's sort of deemed as, if you don't have it, somehow your fleet's is somehow inferior.
Yeah. I noticed that it seems like the ones that have the most planes Wi-Fi'd up and ready to go tend to be smaller ones, which I guess makes sense because they've got the newer planes, right?
Yeah, they get the newer planes and the ratio. They have much fewer ones to add this technology to. When you have these mega huge airlines like Delta, United, American, it takes a little bit of time and effort, but they're starting to switch out to new airplanes, and clearly when you're getting a new airplane, you're getting Wi-Fi. The question is, do you really want to go ahead and put the expense in to put Wi-Fi in a 20-year-old airplane? That's probably where most of the issue is with some of these older airlines.
Now, Wi-Fi seems to be one perk that nobody offers for free. Well, I don't know, maybe in first class, but it's one of those things that if you want it, and a lot of people do, you do have to pay for it.
Well, the interesting thing is that I've been on many flights, and without even paying on it, you can sort of hop on the Wi-Fi and you can get on the airline's website, for example.
So you're saying you can do it without paying for it?
Well, yeah, I mean, but they only allow you to get on, for example, the American website. So you don't have to pay in order to change your reservation while you're in flight, for example. I know Southwest has certain things that are not in the paid for section, so I'm assuming many of them do that as well. So they're sort of crippled without doing the Wi-Fi connection. So you might want to check that out too. Don't think that just because you don't want to pay for it that you can't get at least some of the benefit of being connected on Wi-Fi.
And I suppose for, business people, this is a must-have on your flight Wi-Fi because so many of those folks are working throughout the flight.
Yeah, there's no doubt that it's certainly something that I see a lot of people business, and I'll be honest, it's hit or miss. I remember the one time I got so upset with Wi-Fi was I was flying back during the middle of the Super Bowl one year, and I bought the Super Bowl streaming. I had my laptop out. I was all ready to watch the Super Bowl. It was going to be a 3 or 4 hour flight, and the Wi-Fi didn't work. So, I know I was traveling at 35,000 feet at 500 miles per hour, and it's an amazing thing just to have Wi-Fi, but, it's very painful not to be able to get something you were expecting. So luckily I had it on TiVo. So.
Well, the top airlines with the most, they call them ASMs, I'm sure you know what that means.
Yeah, available seat miles. It's basically just taking a flight and taking its mileage and adding it all up, right? So if a flight from coast to coast would be approximately 2,500 miles, right? So it would have, and let's say the flight was like a 737 with 140 seats, that's how you would calculate it. You'd say, you'd multiply the number of seats on the plane by the number of miles it flew.
Well, the airlines with the most ASMs are, and which I guess is, we're talking about airlines with a huge reach and probably a lot of long-haul flights. the top ones, and this is for all airlines around the world: Delta, United, American. And then coming up number 4, and they say it's very close, is Emirates, Southwest, Etihad, Lufthansa, Singapore, JetBlue, Qatar.
Yeah, no,
Qatar.
we've had this Qatar Qatar conversation. Nobody can give us a straight answer on that, but we're going to go with Qatar for now. That's sort of the way they pronounce it as opposed to the way we pronounce it.
The smaller airlines that are all wired up: Scoot, Virgin America, Iceland Air, Delta. Again, Delta is doing very well. Southwest, Etihad, United, Emirates, Norwegian. Cheap flights there, and American. So you know there's good variety, and they say, taking all the airlines around the world, you have about a 36% chance of getting on Wi-Fi, and of course, on a lot of airlines, you got a 100% chance.
Yeah, it depends on the airline. So again, Wi-Fi, very nice feature. I think on flights under 2 hours, I'm not sure how great a feature it is, but certainly on longer flights, I think it's definitely interesting. And I've even had Wi-Fi on a few flights, over the oceans, which is sort of nice to have on those long 7 to 10 hour flights. So something that we always want to keep our eyes on. Now, the other thing that came out this week that we thought was interesting was Wall Street Journal came out with their best airlines ranking list. Mm-hmm. They used some of the government statistics, Department of Transportation, including canceled flights, tarmac delays, baggage handling issues, bumping and complaints. They take all that data and sort of munge it together and come out with a top list. And I was actually kind of surprised. I'd seen Delta doing a lot better in statistics. I thought it would be higher, but it's in order: Alaska, Virgin America, Delta, Southwest, JetBlue, Frontier, United, Spirit, and American. Now, American can't be happy as the world's largest airline to be number 9 in a list of 9.
No, particularly when Spirit actually is ahead of them on the list. Yeah. But as you point out, this covered data for a year. They use the Department of Transportation. If anybody ever wants to look, they come out with these statistics once a month, but the Wall Street Journal used all of them.
Yeah, for those so inclined, just type in BTS into Google and you'll see all sorts of reports and statistics you can peel off of that.
Yeah, it's fun stuff. Well, Alaska and Virgin America don't surprise me, and I think one of the big reasons is they seem to be very responsive to their passengers whenever there's a problem.
Yeah, I think some of it has to do with customer service, because I don't know how they weighted complaints versus delays and mishandled baggage. I think if you sort of look at the industry overall, the on-time departures and arrivals have gotten better across the board. A big reason for that is they've gotten rid of a lot of these regional jets, which were taking up, a lot of the time frames on flights, and so you basically haven't added back a bunch of aircraft. So we're not taxing the air traffic control system, which still needs a massive upgrade that we've been waiting on to be satellite based instead of ground radar based. So we're hoping for that in the fairly near future. Let's hope for that. They already have that in Europe. So there's also less bags being checked because people don't want to pay the $50 fee in many cases. So it's not surprising that they've gotten better in those statistics, and it's interesting here that Alaska sort of, when you take into the customer service aspect of this ranking system, certainly it's definitely the more customer-focused airline.
And now it's time for our favorite part. I know it's Rick's favorite part, and he's got some great questions from customers today. The first one is from Alex in Redding, California, and I'm just eyeballing that on the map. It looks like it's about 200 miles north of San Francisco, and that may be important. But anyway, Rick, here is Alex from Redding's question. I've got 10 days for vacation this fall, and I want to go to Europe. Never been there. Should I spend 10 days in London or Paris, or like 2 days in 5 cities each? I'm open to either. I just don't know what to do. The biggest issue is money. And Alex says, I don't have a ton, maybe 2,000 total. Can you make suggestions? My bet is you can.
Yeah, sure. Well, 2K will go pretty far. Couple things. Your accommodations, I'm assuming he wants the accommodations included in that 2K.
Probably.
The dollar is very strong over there, so the economy's weak. Hotel rates. You also have Airbnb for things you can do over there. So you probably can do that for probably I know, maybe anywhere from 400 to 700. You should be able to get your airfare in the fall at about 1100 or so. So that'll be sort of our base point. I know there's several questions sort of buried in here. First of all, it's your first trip to Europe, so the question is do I
Yeah.
selfie stick 5 different cities, run to every landmark, and let it rip, or do I do a couple cities? So I would suggest, and my family has been to Europe dozens of times. I have actual family that lives in Salzburg, Austria. So if it was my first trip, I definitely would go with sort of the 2-city option for 10
Mm.
days instead of the 5-city option. Now, I would note that, for example, London, Paris, which are really good choices, you can take the Eurostar in between them, depending on which one you want to make your home base.
Perfect.
So easy travel there. I would pack very lightly. My family doesn't, check a bag ever for anything. The only thing I have to check is golf bags sometimes. And so I would pack light if you can, and we talked a lot about that. I've made a convert out of my wife, and it's even funny. We were having friends over, and we've all converted them to when they go to Europe to actually not check a bag and it's pretty liberating. So a couple things there. In the fall is a perfect time to go to Europe. The prices drop after August the 23rd. They also drop again later in October, but it's kind of hit and miss in later October on the weather. So I would go somewhere between the last week in August and sort of that end of September time frame. Perfect time. The weather's beautiful over there. If you do it at the end of August, some Europeans are still on vacation, so I like going a little bit further into September because you get sort of the full flavor. The entire month of August, Europe is on holiday. So there'll be visitors, so you want them to be in their shops and to be hanging about. So I think that's the second part. Now, from Reading, likely because you do have a small regional airport there, you're probably going to end up driving to San Francisco. If you're going to be flying on a 10-day trip, I would go on a midweek day, Monday through Thursday. Those are much cheaper than Friday through Sunday departures. Save yourself about $160 round trip there. Excuse me, $40 each way, so about $80 savings there. I would also start shopping for September about 5 months ahead of time. It's a little early to start shopping and locking in that ticket. You should be able to find one sort of in the $1,000 to $1,100 range. There's a lot of stuff going on with fuel costs and dropping of prices. So, in the fall, we don't know what the economy is going to look like. So I think, again, waiting is probably your best bet for doing that. But look, you could easily get this trip in under 2K. Definitely go with the 2-city option. Fly on the cheapest days to fly. Buy your ticket at the right point. Start shopping about 5 months before. Don't buy it any later than about 3 months beforehand, and you'll be good to go.
Thank you for your question, Alex. And now we have
that
a question.
That was just one sentence, Ann, wasn't it? Did I ever pause in that sentence? I feel like I just hit a 50-second note with like Adele.
It was perfect. Okay, now do the same for Shelley. Shelley has a question. She says, my son is on his golf team at school and is pretty good, and we're thinking about sending him someplace nice for graduation. I know you are a golfer, and I'm wondering, what are the best domestic destinations for golfing?
Gosh, I have so many bucket list golf courses. I got crossed off last year, Pebble Beach and Spyglass. Going to Ryder Cup coming up in the fall. I think that'd be a great present if somebody gave me, so you could actually play golf in the area around Minnesota where the Ryder Cup is this fall, depending on if they're in school or graduation after that. Certainly, you have golf meccas. I also crossed off Bethpage Black last year.
What is that?
That's up in Brooklyn, New York. That's where they had the U.S. Open one time. It's a public course up there. So you have the Florida area, you have the California area, you have some really cool courses up in Minnesota, Wisconsin area. Any of those are really good spots for a very special golf trip. In particular, you have the Ryder Cup coming this fall. I would suggest that. Getting tickets is a little bit painful, so we actually, my business partner and I actually were in the lottery because we went to the Ryder Cup in Gleneagle, Scotland the year before last. And so that may be tougher to get into, but I definitely would look into, if you want to play some of the best golf courses in the world, like Pebble Beach and Spanish Bay and Spyglass. You have to actually stay at the hotel there. It's very, very expensive. I'm not sure how I think that's maybe for your son when he's 50 or something. But I definitely would send them somewhere, maybe California. Southern California is a good spot. In the San Diego area, there's several really awesome courses just outside of the northern part of San Diego. I would shoot there, or I'd go for like Kohler, Wisconsin, those places. There's also a variety of places in Wisconsin. So, definitely there's plenty of places to go. I would go warm, and I'd go in the fall.
And I would go in the Monterey area. You mentioned Pebble Beach, but I mean, you're talking about golf courses where sea lions sort of walk across every now and then, or deer are around.
Well,
I mean, it's beautiful, just beautiful, and I don't care about golf.
Another golf mecca I've been to at least 6 or 7 times is the Scottsdale, Phoenix area. Certainly, you'd want to do that in the spring or the fall. Because it can be about 1,000 degrees under the sun in the summertime. But they have literally dozens of some of the top golf courses in the world.
If anybody else has questions, and thank you, Shelley, but anyone, please, Rick is dying to answer your question.
Yeah, sure.
Send them to customer.service@FareCompare.com, and you will make Rick a happy man.
Yeah, and also check out the Adventurous app, our FareCompare native app, on both iOS and Android. You just type in FareCompare.com/app on your phone, and it'll take you right there to the store. Give that a tap, and then you can catch the video podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud. And again, ask questions. Love to answer those questions. So have a great week, and we'll catch you on episode 21 next week.
Thanks, Rick.